Hello. Beautiful day. Absolutely stunning today. Cold old wind. I love days like this, misty in the distance. But look at the sky. Wow. Look at this. Beautiful. Sorry about the wind if you hear any wind noise. I'm just going to do a quick video really. I made a video the other day asking if you want me to cover anything in a video. Ask me, see what I can do. So a guy called Gaz Diggins said, can I make a video about people moaning? Can I make a video about people moaning about the same old thing all the time? That's what he said. Now we all know people like that, don't we? We all do. In fact, we all like a good moan every now and then. And a moan can be a little gripe about something, or it can be trying to clear the air in some way. That's what a moan is to most of us. However, a moan that's just the same old thing is a little bit more serious actually. And it's, you've got to work out why are they moaning about the same old bloody thing, because it gets boring, and nothing is ever achieved by moaning. It's not advantageous to anybody, it's not a practical thing they're doing, they're just blur, blur, blur. It's boring. So what are they doing it for? No, I think they're probably, a lot of people, when they moan about the same old thing over and over again, they're giving it some validation. They're giving their thoughts to whatever it is they're moaning about. They're giving it some credence, some higher power. I'm absolutely right to moan about this. In fact, I've been moaning about it for 6 years. Yeah, great. So it's more than just a moan. It's quite serious now, because I'm still bloody moaning about it. 10 years on, I'm still moaning. So that's one, it's a validation thing. They're trying to look for, I don't know what they're looking for, because they never achieve anything. They never achieve anything by simply just whinging and whining and moaning. Pathetic. And I think that's probably the biggest point. They are looking to validate their reason for their continuous moaning about the same subject. Otherwise it's a bit pathetic, isn't it? If you said, oh, David, don't moan, every day you moan about the same thing. You say, well, it gets on my bloody nerves. Well, big deal. What's he doing? Bodie! Come on, mate. Let's go this way, in fact. Bode, this way. Come on, come on. Gonna head back. I'm cold. Glorious day, but it is a bit chilly. So we've got the validation aspect of it, That's just to make them kind of feel better about themselves in some way. So they're not just moaning for moaning's sake. But of course it gets them nowhere and it pisses people off and it's just boring. It bores the hell out of people. We know that. We all know people like that. So why do, well, the question is, why do they moan? Why? I think some people just get used to it. They just, if they've got nothing else to moan, nothing else to do, they moan. It gives them some purpose. So, they moan about the parking of the car. I'll tell you that in a minute, actually. Where they park their car of the evening, and they moan, they whinge and whine, they moan, and it just gives them some form of purpose, So, I'll tell you about that now, actually. The last job I did for 9 weeks, there was a particular person there, a woman, And she had, I suppose she had two main moans, but one of them was about parking her car of an evening. Now, because she didn't do a lot in her life, and that's fine, you know. People used to say, good morning, you know, whatever. How'd you get on last night? And she said, oh, he bloody parked there again. All the time he parks there. I don't know why, it's ridiculous. And I had to struggle and I had some shopping to carry. Yeah, you know, and that kind of gives her something to say. Booty, don't lick. So rather than saying, oh, I had a lovely evening last night, you know, I had a bath and went to bed early with a book, she might feel that's not good enough to tell people. So instead of that, she moans. That was one of the things she moaned about. And the other thing, there's two things really. She moaned about the car. The other thing I was going to mention, it's gone out of my head now. Oh, the cold. She moaned about the flat. Well, this is in the summer. And they said, have you got any holidays booked? And she said no. She said, although I should go, this is the first conversation I had, I should go away over the winter period because it's bloody freezing in my flat. She'd been there, I can't remember, 6 or 7 years. Always been cold. She dreads the winter. Always bloody freezing cold. Nothing I do makes it warm. Nothing at all, you know. And then the following day she came in and started moaning. This bloody guy parked his car right in the bloody way. I had to park right on the corner. It was so dangerous. I couldn't get to sleep and I worried about my car. You know, again. And then she led that on to... you know, I'd like to move really. I'd like to move somewhere with a car park and get a warm flat. My flat's so bloody cold. Nothing I do can make it warm. It's just bloody hopeless. It costs a fortune to heat. And it's just rubbish. And then one day I happened to sit near her. We were having a Slurpee before the meeting and she started banging on. You know, where do you live and you know, stuff like that. So I just told her the truth, you know, because everybody, I was employed and they know the truth about me, you know, I'm a traveller. And she was quite interested in that, and she said, oh, I'd love to do something like that. She said, I get fed up where I live, bloody idiot parking his car. I said, what's that then? As if I didn't know. And she said, big fat bald-headed bloke. That's what she called him, nice, eh? Fat bald-headed bloke, and just parks his car in the bloody way all the time. I never know where I'm going to be able to park when I get home, outside the flat. I have to walk 100 yards sometimes. Once I parked on the corner, I've had to carry shopping, and you know, he's bloody ignorant, this bloke. And I said, so you've spoken to him, what's he said? And this is how to deal with constant moaners. And she went, no, I haven't spoken to him. And I said, fat bald-headed blokes have ears as well. I said, how does he know unless you converse with him? And she just, embarrassed, but she said like, well, he should bloody know, you know, it's my flat, it's bloody obvious. And I said, well, obviously not to him. Have a word, he's your neighbour, you know. Maybe he doesn't know. That's how I deal with these constant moaners. And she was on about her flat, you know, and I said, you got 5 months, why are you worried about winter? You got 5 months. She said, it's bloody freezing, I've been there 6 or 7 years, and it's bloody freezing, and I'm always worried about the winter. And I said, well, you've got 5 months to organise something. That's quite a long time, really. You know, there's warmer home grants, isn't there? You can have a word with your landlord, you could get damp proofing, you could get, you know, try and find out where the cold is coming from. She said it whistles through her flat. And I said, you know, is it the doors perhaps, you know, draft excluders or whatever, get the heating overhauled, get all that in place. And you know, you've got 5 months to do it. And she said, well, the landlord's bloody useless, bloody does nothing. And I said, but, you know, you've made him aware and you've spoken to him. She said, well, no, you don't do bloody anything. I said, you haven't told him in six years. So what she's moaning about isn't the car parking. She's trying to give it validation. It isn't the poor heating in the flat. She's trying to give that validation. She's trying to say, oh, look at me, poor old me. Sad, really. What she's moaning about is her inability to converse with another human being, i.e. the landlord and some guy who's fat, apparently, with a bald head, and drives a car. She cannot converse with people. Pathetic, you know. And when you throw that back at her, which I did in the end, because she went on and on and on. She only had, you know, those 2 ways of communicating with me, and I think with most other people. And I said to her, you know, one day, I said that you mentioned this again and again and again to me, and probably to everybody else about the parking. And I told you the other day, you know, go and speak to the guy. Go and speak to the guy, you know, and also speak to your landlord. I said the problem isn't the parking, it isn't the cold, it's that you don't tell people, you don't converse. How do they know? And she was, an odd word, but flabbergasted, like, oh, fucking hell, you know, maybe he's right, maybe I should become an adult. Anyway, a constant moaner needs to moan because they get something. It gives them a conversation. It, you know, do you feel sorry for them? Are they validated in some way? Are they justified in moaning? Come here, Bode. I've got a jogger now. Anyway, come here, come here. I'm going to go now because we've got a jogger, and I'm going to put Bodie on the lead. Try not to moan, try and be happy, try and get outside. Take care and be well. Okay, just to finish off then, because the jogger's gone by now. Oh dear, yeah, so Gaz Diggins asked that question about why do people moan, you know, what do we do? And when they constantly moan about the same old thing over and over again, it is a shame, isn't it, really? And people lose friends, I think, over it because people just get bored. You know, oh, there's Mr. Personality there moaning about, you know. Which is a shame. To constantly moan about the same old thing actually boils down to just one thing, and that's the inability to deal with whatever situation is in front of you. It's sad. It really is. And I've got a sneaky feeling they know that. They're incapable of dealing with whatever situation. So if they moan continually for year after year after year, as I say, it validates their little gripe, little moan, whatever, rather than actually getting off their arse and going and deal with it. And, you know, they just... It's lack of communication skills, isn't it, really? People are so funny, you know, if people see something, they moan and whinge and whine about it. I think every single job I've ever had, and I've been guilty about this sometimes, but every single job I've ever had, there's the one person who moans. Fucking hate working here, and can't stand the boss and the money's crap and all the rest of it. And I say, why are you here then? And they normally say, well, it suits me for now. I'm looking for another job anyway, won't be here long. You know, and we all know they'd be there 20 years. But there'd be 20 years of moaning. And doesn't that make for a long day? Doesn't that make for a lot of negative vibes within you? And ultimately, you then portray that, you push that out. There's a deer there. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, really? So do we avoid those that continually moan? Because many do. Or do we learn to deal with it in some way? To say, you know, converse with your neighbour about the parking, sort it out. Maybe your neighbour's unaware. Sort it out, talk. It's pathetic, isn't it? You've got to speak to people like that. You know, if you're living in a flat and it's freezing cold, speak to your landlord. Demand he does something before winter arrives. Insist. You know, get quotes, see builders, do something. There's another deer over there, but it's too far away for me to zoom in. But ultimately, a lot of people like to moan. We all moan about little things. But I think if you moan about different things, on and off, then I think that's fine really. Got no problem with that. It all depends what you view as a moan, because you could say, oh, it's bloody cold today. Is that a moan? No, I think it's more an observation really. It's got nothing to do with moaning. But as I say, we all know those people that they've got the one or two or three little things they moan about, and they just moan on and on and on. Nothing gets achieved by moaning. You know, if you do speak to those people, say, or talk like I do, say, what have you achieved so far? You know, in 7 years, if you've lived there 7 years, what have you achieved? Has it got any warmer for you? When you spoke to the landlord, oh, I haven't spoken to him. Has it helped moaning for 7 years? Has that made you feel warmer? The other thing is, just to end it, is that people sometimes they're looking for much more. So the moan is quite serious, and the moan is they don't want to ask, but they are asking for help, advice, information. And people have lost the art of communication sometimes. So when they moan about this thing continually again and again and again, they're actually saying, you know, what shall I do? Can you help me? I'm sort of crying out here, please, you know. So that needs dealing on a different level, you know, on a more empathic level, so that we can say, look, sit down a minute. I've heard you moan about this thing several times, you know. What is going on? How can I help? You know, is there anything practical you can do, I can do? You know, tell me about it. Tell me how it impacts on your life. Really open that door wide, right? And one of two things will happen. The person may, I don't know, start crying or whatever, or just open up and say, look, this is it. And then you can have a big conversation how to actually deal with that situation. Or, and this is more likely, the person will realise they've just been stupid. They've got nothing to do but moan about this thing, and by opening the door and say, look, come on, I'm here for you now, tell me all about it, tell me everything, let's see if we can work together practically on this moan, you know, let's see what we can do together. And you find they kind of shy away and think, oh, it's not as bad as I'm making out, you know, it's just one of those things. And perhaps that's a good thing for them to realise, that after all this time of moaning, when somebody sits down and says, come on, let me help you. Bode! Is there anything practical I can do? Can I give you some help or advice? Do you want me to deal with this? Perhaps then, and only then, they realise it's not quite as bad as they've made out. It's just something to do, and it becomes a form of learned behaviour, doesn't it, really? You know, that you meet somebody and they moan. Learned behaviour comes in many, many forms. If you look at Robin Williams, who committed suicide, his learned behaviour was, hey, look at me, great big smile. That's his learned behaviour. And sometimes we can learn a type of behaviour that very nearly defines us. And somebody's continual moaning and whinging and whining, that's just learnt, because they get a response from it, you know. I said in a video a long, long time ago that think back to when you were a child of 8, 9, okay? When did you receive the most communication and the most love and the most comfort from your parents? When was that? Okay, so was it when you were feeling fantastic? When you were running around the garden, screaming, playing a game and shouting and, you know, look at me, I'm 7, I'm 8, I'm 9, I'm alive, I'm crazy, I'm screaming, I'm laughing. And your parents said, shut up for Christ's sake. You know, calm down. Watch television. Be quiet, shh. Relax. Okay, we don't want that behaviour. You're being silly, act your age. Whatever that means. Okay, so that's that side of it. But do you remember when you were ill? And you laid on the sofa and your mum said, oh, poor you, are you okay? Come here, have a cuddle. And I'm going to cook your favourite tea tonight. You alright, darling? Let me feel your forehead. Have you got a temperature? Here's some sweets. I'm going to get you a nice hot drink. Do you want me to tuck you in? Are you warm enough? I've been down the shop, I got your little colouring book and some crayons. Because you're feeling poorly, thought it might help. Right, shh. Be quiet everybody, because he's not feeling very well. Would you like me to turn the television on? Watch your favourite programme? Let's have another cuddle. How are you feeling now? Are you okay? That happens, doesn't it? So the most interaction of love you get is when you're poorly. Okay, so the learned behaviour, although they're not poorly, if they moan a lot, then they're going to, oh, I'm so sorry, what's happening? Somebody's parked their car, oh, poor you, and you had to carry your shopping, oh, God, dear, that's awful, oh, a cold flat, oh, dear, you want to get some of those lovely socks, oh, your poor feet, oh, I don't want to be like you, poor you, yeah? So there you go, learned behaviour takes on many, many different aspects. I'm going to shut up now. Thank you, Gaz Diggins, thank you very much. And there was a comment straight away underneath that when I said, yeah, I'm going to do a video about that, from a man called Dave, Desmond Donders, and he said, somebody will only moan about it. Dave. Yeah, very true. We're all entitled to moan about things, but when it's constant, it's bloody boring. Take care. Thank you guys. Be well.